Today, we are talking about something that almost all of us struggle with in our modern, hyper-connected world. We are talking about the endless noise inside our own heads. If you have ever felt completely overwhelmed by your own thoughts, if you constantly worry about the future while regretting the past, or if you feel like you are just sleepwalking through your life on autopilot, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we are diving into a beautiful, highly practical, and transformative book called Mindfulness in Plain English by Bante Gunaratana. Grab a warm cup of coffee or tea, get completely comfortable, and let us explore a story about waking up to the reality of your own life. The big misunderstanding: what meditation is not. Meet our protagonist for today, a guy named Mark. Mark is a typical modern professional, living in a fast-paced city. He wakes up to a blaring alarm immediately, checks his phone, gets stressed by the news, rushes through morning traffic, works a demanding job, and comes home totally exhausted. He has heard from his friends and various podcasts that meditation might help him relax and cure his stress. So he decides to give it a try. But Mark brings a massive amount of baggage and preconceived notions about what meditation actually is. He thinks it involves sitting in a complex pretzel shape, chanting in a mystical language he does not understand, and magically forcing his mind to become completely blank. He fundamentally believes that meditation is an escape from reality, a neat little trick to turn off his problems, levitate above his daily struggles, and float away on a cloud of absolute bliss. Bante Gunaratana points out in the very beginning of the book that this is the absolute biggest misunderstanding people have when they start their practice. Meditation is not a magic pill that instantly makes your life perfect or solves all your financial and relationship issues overnight. It is not a way to become a heartless zombie who feels no emotion or stress. And it is certainly not about aggressively forcing your mind to stop thinking. If you try to force your mind to stop thinking, you will just end up with a massive headache, a tight chest, and a huge amount of frustration. Meditation is not about escaping reality. It is about facing reality with a completely new level of courage and clarity. Mark realizes that he does not need to become a mystic, abandon his career, or join a remote mountain monastery to meditate. He just needs to be willing to sit down and honestly look at the messy, chaotic state of his own mind. The true goal: seeing things as they are. Once Mark drops his false expectations about floating on clouds of bliss, he learns about the specific type of meditation taught in this incredible book. It is called Vipasana Meditation. This is an ancient term that translates roughly to insight, or seeing things exactly as they really are. This is very different from concentration-based meditation, where you just focus on a single object or a mantra until you completely zone out and enter a trance. Vipassana is an active, dynamic, and piercing investigation of your own existence. Bante Gunaratana explains that most of the time we do not see reality clearly at all. We look at the world through a thick, muddy filter of our own personal biases, deep-rooted fears, selfish desires, and past traumatic experiences. When Mark looks at his demanding boss, he does not just see a human being speaking words. He sees a profound threat, an unfair obstacle, and a major source of anxiety. His mind instantly layers a massive narrative story over the actual neutral event. The true goal of mindfulness is to gently strip away those false layers. It is about observing the raw data of your daily experience before your brain has a chance to judge it, categorize it, and freak out about it. Furthermore, it is about realizing one of the most fundamental truths of the universe, which is that absolutely everything in life is temporary. Your thoughts are temporary. Your intense emotions are temporary. And your physical sensations are temporary. When Mark finally starts to understand this concept of impermanence, he stops trying to fight his negative emotions. He starts to see them as passing weather systems in the vast sky of his mind. He learns that true, lasting peace does not come from trying to control the uncontrollable world around him, but from profoundly understanding the shifting nature of his own inner world. The right attitude, setting up for success. Before Mark even sits down on his living room floor to meditate, he has to cultivate the right mental attitude. This is precisely where most beginners fail and give up. They sit down expecting a grand cinematic revelation, and when nothing magical happens within 5 minutes, they get angry, label themselves as bad meditators, and quit forever. Bante Gunaratana provides a brilliant, highly necessary checklist for cultivating the proper meditative attitude. First, do not expect anything. Just sit back, relax, and see what happens. Treat the whole thing like a curious scientific experiment, where you are simply collecting data. Second, do not strain. You cannot force mindfulness to happen, any more than you can force a flower to grow faster by violently pulling on its delicate petals. It is a natural process that requires gentle tending. Third, do not rush. Rushing is a toxic, counterproductive mindset in meditation. If you are meditating just to get it over with, so you can cross it off your to-do list, you are missing the entire point. Fourth, do not cling to anything, and do not reject anything. If a beautiful, peaceful, warm feeling arises in your chest, do not try to desperately hold on to it. Simply enjoy it and let it go. If an ugly, angry, resentful thought arises, do not try to violently push it away or bury it. Let it be there and watch it fade away on its own. Fifth, be incredibly gentle with yourself. You are going to mess up. Your mind is going to wander 1,000 times in a single session. Do not beat yourself up. Every time you realize your mind has wandered, you have just experienced a beautiful moment of true mindfulness. Celebrate that realization instead of punishing yourself for the initial distraction. Finally, keep a healthy sense of humor. You are going to discover that your mind is a completely chaotic, ridiculous, and absurd place. Learn to smile at the absolute absurdity of your own thought patterns instead of getting severely frustrated by them. The anchor, the power of the breath. So Mark finally sits down. He finds a quiet spot in the corner of his apartment, sits on a comfortable cushion, keeps his back reasonably straight but not stiff, and gently closes his eyes. Now, what is he supposed to do? The core instruction is deceptively simple, yet incredibly challenging in practice. Bring your complete attention to your breathing. Specifically, bring your attention to the rims of your nostrils, right where the air enters and leaves your physical body. Do not try to actively control the breath. Do not force yourself to breathe deeply to calm down, and do not force yourself to breathe shallowly. Just let your miraculous body breathe naturally, exactly as it wants to in that specific moment. Your only job is to become a silent, objective watchman. Notice the sensation of the cool air coming in through your nose. Notice the slight, subtle pause at the top of the inhale. Notice the sensation of the warm air going out. Notice the brief pause before the next breath naturally begins. Why do we focus so intensely on the breath? Bante Gunaratana explains that the breath is the absolute perfect anchor for several vital reasons. First, it is always with you. Wherever you go, you do not need to buy any special, expensive equipment or travel to a specific location to breathe. Second, and most importantly, it is entirely rooted in the present moment. You cannot breathe in the past, and you cannot breathe in the future. You can only take the exact breath that is happening right now, in this exact millisecond. By tying his attention directly to his breath, Mark is literally tying his wandering mind to the present moment. It serves as a reliable home base. Whenever the storms of anxious thought become too intense, the breath is always there, quietly flowing in and out, offering a safe, stable harbor. It is a completely neutral, biological phenomenon, which makes it the absolute, perfect training ground for practicing non-judgmental observation. The monkey mind, dealing with distractions. Mark starts diligently watching his breath. In, out, in, out. This is incredibly easy, he thinks to himself. I am a natural-born meditator. I am going to master this in a week. But about exactly 12 seconds later, his brain interrupts. He suddenly remembers that he forgot to reply to an important email from a client. Then, his mind rapidly shifts to worrying about his upcoming presentation on Friday. From there, he wonders what he should make for dinner tonight, which reminds him that he needs to buy groceries, which reminds him of a silly argument he had with a cashier 3 years ago. Suddenly, he realizes he has not been paying a single ounce of attention to his breath for the last 5 uninterrupted minutes. His mind has been rapidly swinging from thought to thought, like a wild, hyperactive monkey swinging from branch to branch in a dense jungle. Bante Gunaratana refers to this exact phenomenon as the monkey mind, and he assures us that it is completely 100% normal. The untrained human mind is inherently chaotic. It absolutely hates staying in one place. When you first try to sit down and meditate, it feels exactly like trying to hold a terrified, wild animal completely still. The most important lesson Mark learns in his entire journey is how to properly handle these endless distractions. When he finally catches his mind wandering, he must not get angry. Getting angry at a distraction is just adding another layer of heavy distraction on top of the first one. Instead, he simply notes the distraction. He acknowledges it gently. He silently says to himself, thinking, or remembering, or worrying. He does not analyze the content of the thought. He does not judge himself for having it. He simply gives it a gentle, polite nod of recognition. And then, very softly, but with firm resolve, he brings his attention right back to the rims of his nostrils, back to the physical sensation of the breath. This continuous cycle of wandering, noticing, and returning is the actual, fundamental workout of meditation. Every single time Mark brings his attention back to the breath, he is essentially doing a heavy bicep curl for his brain. He is actively building and strengthening the neurological muscle of mindfulness, the physical hurdles, pain, and sleepiness. As Mark bravely continues his daily practice, moving from 5 minutes a day to 20 minutes a day, he inevitably runs into the next major, unavoidable obstacle: his own physical body. Sitting completely still for 20 or 30 minutes is not something most of us are accustomed to doing in our active lives. Soon, Mark starts experiencing severe, burning pain in his knees and a deep, dull ache in his lower back. His immediate, hardwired animal instinct is to shift his posture, rub his legs, or simply quit the session entirely. But Bante Gunaratana offers a radically different, highly counterintuitive approach. Instead of instantly running away from the physical pain, use the pain itself as your new object of meditation. When the sharp pain arises in his knee, Mark temporarily takes his attention off his breath and moves his focus directly into the absolute center of the pain. He investigates it with intense curiosity. Does it throb? Does it burn? Does it tingle? Does the physical intensity change from second to second? By observing the pain objectively as just another temporary sensation, Mark realizes something truly incredible. A massive portion of his suffering is not the physical sensation itself, but his mental, emotional resistance to it. His mind constantly screams, "I hate this. I want this to stop. This is ruining my knees." When he drops the mental resistance and just silently observes the raw, physical data, the actual suffering drastically decreases. The other major physical hurdle Mark faces is extreme sleepiness. After a long, draining day of corporate work, sitting quietly in a warm, comfortable room often makes Mark start heavily nodding off. His head bobs down, his breathing becomes shallow, and he drifts into a foggy, unproductive, hazy state. The book advises several excellent, practical remedies for this lethargy. First, try to notice the sleepiness, exactly like you would notice a passing thought. Acknowledge the heavy feeling in your eyelids. If that does not work, take a few deep, forceful breaths to oxygenate your system. If the sleepiness remains completely overwhelming, you are allowed to open your eyes, stand up, and practice mindful walking instead. The critical key is to stay fiercely alert and violently present, rather than falling into a comfortable nap, taking it off the cushion. Mindfulness. In daily life, after several months of dedicated effort, Mark is feeling genuinely great about his seated practice. He can easily stay with his breath for much longer periods, and he rarely gets frustrated with his hyperactive monkey mind anymore. But Bante Gunaratana strongly emphasizes that sitting peacefully on a small cushion is only a tiny fraction of the battle. True, transformative mindfulness must inevitably bleed into the rest of your waking life. If you are perfectly, beautifully peaceful for 30 minutes in the early morning. But you spend the entire rest of your day screaming furiously at slow traffic, snapping aggressively at your well-meaning coworkers, and mindlessly scrolling on your phone for hours. You are entirely missing the deeper point of the practice. The ultimate, overarching goal is to maintain a continuous, unbreakable thread of present awareness throughout your entire day. Mark actively starts practicing mindfulness in his mundane daily activities. When he stands at the sink to wash the dirty dishes, he stops daydreaming about his weekend plans or stressing about his upcoming bills. Instead, he fully feels the soothing warmth of the soapy water on his hands. He smells the crisp citrus scent of the dish soap, and he closely listens to the clinking sounds of the ceramic plates. When he walks from his office building to his car, he actively feels the firm pressure of the concrete ground against the soles of his feet and the cool wind brushing against his face. Most importantly, when his demanding boss unfairly yells at him, he does not instantly react with blind, defensive anger. He clearly notices the sudden, tight feeling in his chest. He feels the heat rising rapidly in his face, and he takes a single, deep, mindful breath before choosing how to effectively respond. By forcefully bringing mindfulness into his completely ordinary life, Mark transforms boring, mundane chores into moments of profound, grounding peace. He realizes that daily life is not just a frustrating series of annoying obstacles to get through so he can finally relax on the weekend. He realizes that life is a continuous, beautiful stream of present moments, and every single one of them is a perfect opportunity to practice deep awareness. Wrapping up our journey into mindfulness, let us take a quiet moment to look back at the incredible, transformative journey we have taken today through the pages of Mindfulness in Plain English. We started by firmly tearing down the widespread myth that meditation is a mystical, magical escape from reality, learning instead that it is a highly practical tool for facing reality head-on with total clarity. We discovered that the true goal is Vipasana, seeing the world and ourselves exactly as they are, entirely without the heavy, muddy filter of our personal biases and fears. We learn the absolute, crucial importance of maintaining a patient, gentle, and non-judgmental attitude, treating our practice like a curious scientific experiment rather than a harsh test of willpower. We saw how to use the simple, constant, reliable rhythm of our natural breath as a secure anchor in the chaotic storm of our daily lives. We explored the wild, untamed nature of the monkey mind and learned how to gently but firmly guide our scattered attention back to the present moment without anger or frustration. We faced the difficult physical hurdles of bodily pain and mental lethargy, turning those exact obstacles into profound, life-changing teachers of radical acceptance. Finally, we learned the most ultimate lesson of all. The true test of meditation is not how perfectly or how long we can sit still on a quiet cushion, but how mindfully, compassionately, and presently we live the rest of our active lives, transforming our everyday moments into endless opportunities for deep peace. Thank you so much for joining me on this storytelling journey today. If this detailed breakdown helped you understand the profound simplicity and beauty of mindfulness, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into incredible, life-changing books. I would absolutely love to hear from you in the comments section below. What is the absolute biggest, most stubborn distraction you face when you try to sit quietly and focus on your breath? Let us talk about it and share our experiences down there. Until next time, remember to take a deep breath, be incredibly gentle with your endlessly wandering mind, and deeply enjoy the present moment.